So with watching a lot of videos about video games online, it's very easy to stumble upon speedruns. For those that don't know, speedruns are a collection of videos where you try to complete things as fast as possible. I believe it's most popularly known through Games Done Quick, which is a non-profit. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a non-profit, but it's a charity where people play video games as fast as possible to raise money for cancer. Another thing as well is if you're on YouTube, you can just look at speedruns, and you'll find hundreds upon hundreds of videos of people completing a wide variety of games as fast as possible. So in this video, I'm going to give kind of an outline as to how you can get into speedrunning even if you don't have any elite video game skills. Personally, for me, I would say that, while I've been playing video games since I was a kid, but I don't think I'm definitively excellent, like a top 1% in any game really, except maybe Duke Nukem for the 360. But yeah, so this is more or less how to get into speedrunning. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create an account on speedrun.com. Speedrun.com works in conjunction with the Guinness Book of World Records, from my understanding. Not to mean that if you appear on this that you will appear in one of their books, but they work in collaboration with some pretty official and legit people that are known for, recording and documenting the world's fastest whatever. This is just an example of what a sign up would look like. Once properly signed up, you can see the main page for some ideas where they tell you recently posted records, so you can see some uploads that people have done and where they place with those records. And then there's also a search bar on the top that you can use to look up games that you want to play. So that would be the next step, is looking up a game that you're interested in speedrunning. In this case, I use Speed Racer. It's a game I played a while back. After you find the game, you want to look at all the categories that are available and see if there are any that aren't that are empty, I guess, more or less. For me, that's the way to go. Obviously, you can also compete against other people as well, but I'm a fan of going to the empty ones because there's no competition. Just record properly and you're good. So I will probably actually go after this one. If you're watching this video and decide to go after it, do it up. Once you have your recorded speed run, which I'll talk about a little bit later, you can click on Submit Run, and then depending on the game and the category, there'll be a list of things that come up. These are the major things. Make sure you fill them out properly. You don't have to fill out all of them. Like the time splits one, I think is very specific. That's very much optional. So your next question might be, how do you record a speed run? So for me, I found the most success with OBS Studio. It's free, relatively easy to use. I could theoretically create a mini guide or a basic guide to cover how I record with it. But what's cool about it as well is you can also use it for streaming. So if you're interested in streaming these in addition to recording, this is the way to do it. Here is an example of a basic template that I have. The OBS link is what allows to see the screen in regards to what I'm recording, which I'll go over in more detail in a minute. You can also just use an application window as well if you're emulating basic stuff like Nintendo, Super Nintendo. If you're emulating straight from your computer, you don't need to purchase anything to have this run fine. Once you have your video recorded, you're going to want to upload it somewhere online where it can be viewed permanently. If you're a streamer, you can use something like Twitch. For me personally, I like to use YouTube. When I post it on YouTube, as you can see here, I typically keep the video unlisted, and then I will release it publicly on a later date, I guess once it's been approved for the most part. On YouTube, unlisted or not, you have the option to share the link. You just click copy right there, you just follow that, and then you can paste it onto the form. The example I'm using is actually already a speed run that I've submitted, but just to show you the process, in that case the video clip was of Cannon Spike, so I'm going to the Cannon Spike form on speedrun.com. Then I'm going to the appropriate submission area, and then I'm going to select Submit Run. As you can see here, I already have the record. And each submission is going to look a little different, but this is just an example where it says video link. That's where you would post your link. Once your video has been recorded and you've uploaded the proper information to speedrun.com, your video and your information has to be reviewed by a moderator. Depending on the game, it can take anywhere between the same day to a couple of days. I would say on average it takes about maybe close to a week for approvals. So if you don't have it approved within one day, don't think it's the end of the world. Sometimes they will reject runs. Usually when they reject a run, they'll explain why. Maybe you used the wrong emulator. Maybe you used a glitch that you're not allowed to use. Typically, I would say make sure you go through the rules. The rules kind of vary between games. Some games allow certain emulators and other games don't allow emulators. Some don't allow emulators at all. Sometimes they have subcategories for it. So yeah, general tips, of course, just look around, look for games that you're interested in. Maybe some games have some subcategories. I mean, through exploring, seeing what's available and what's free, I've become a 17-time champ as of this video. So, and if I can do it, I believe you can do it too. Another thing as well, you can actually message people for subcategories. For my Fatal Fury special speed run on Game Gear, I noticed there wasn't a Game Gear category, so I messaged the moderator to go, hey, can you create this? And they did. It's not guaranteed to work, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And finally, if you're recording the PlayStation 4 or a newer console, I'm going to show you my setup for that. So here's a quick video with my exceptionally messy loadout. If you want to record things from the TV, as opposed to directly from your console, you're going to use this. At least this is what I use. This is very blurry. This isn't helping at all. There we go. An HD60S. I'll provide a link to that. This is pretty cool. I like this one for the retro stuff because it does, I think, 720p. And you don't need to attach any capture cards to your computer. Another thing I also use as well, because I noticed that there's kind of a bit of a lag between what's played over here and what's played on the screen. I don't know if you can see that. It's very slight. It might be like a 1 second difference. Yeah, see? So what I like to do is I got an HDMI splitter. So that way it records, but I still get the perfect view. Everything's upside down. I hate this. But you get the perfect view of this, so you can get your full-blown controls there. You know, this is my next speedrunning game, 102 Dalmatians. No, it's not. But yeah, and then, as you can see here with OBS, as I showed you earlier, that's the OBS setup. If you're interested in the OBS, I can talk about that in another video, but it is relatively easy to set up. But again, this is for if you're doing like the latest PlayStation or Xbox or something along the lines of that. If you do an emulation, you don't need the extra dongles. You can play everything straight from the laptop or the computer, depending on what you're doing. All right, I'm gonna edit that out. That's my shoes. But yeah, so those are the major things physically that you would need. You can just get away with a laptop if you're just doing emulation. One final note, just to let you know, you might ask, like, oh, why am I going to listen to this guy? How legit is he? Well, here's a quick view of all the speedruns that I've submitted. And as of this video, I actually have 17 top world records. Feel free to break them. I'd prefer you don't, but that might be a good starting point. Thanks for watching.